That's just it, there's no one. But I can do it. In fact, I'm the only one who can. I'll do it. Using the Death Note, I'll change the world.
Imagine possessing the power to play judge, jury, and executioner with nothing but a pen. Now imagine taking that power and convincing yourself that you're the only one in the world fit to use it. Welcome to the twisted mind of Light Yagami. Today, we're diving deep into the psyche of one of anime's most iconic anti-heroes. From a bright young man to a god-complex-driven megalomaniac, we'll unravel the layers of Light's transformation and how his brilliance, ambitions, and mistakes shape his descent into darkness. If you thought Death Note was just a psychological thriller, buckle up, because there's much more to the story. Remember, folks, if you suddenly develop a habit of writing in a notebook every time someone annoys you, you might want to see a therapist, not a Shinigami. 1. The Golden Boy persona, Light's beginnings. When we first meet Light, he's every teacher's dream student and every parent's ideal child. Acing exams, being the top of his class, charming and confident, Light Yagami is, for all intents and purposes, the model of perfection. But there's a catch. Light's brilliance, paired with his frustration at the state of the world, creates a dangerous cocktail, a sense of moral superiority. Light isn't just a high achiever, he's bored with achieving. There's a void within him that academic success and accolades can't fill. And that void? It's a craving for a world that matches his own rigid vision of justice. Imagine Light giving career advice to his classmates. Just do what I did, be flawless, and develop a mild god complex. Easy. 2. The Death Note, catalyst or enabler. Light's discovery of the Death Note is like handing a loaded gun to someone already thinking of becoming a vigilante. The power to kill with a single name is terrifying enough, but for someone like Light, it's more than just a weapon. It's a tool for reshaping the world according to his own ideals. The first time Light uses the Death Note, it's a test, a simple experiment to see if it works. But once he realizes the full extent of its power, the temptation to become something more than human proves too strong to resist. What begins as a mission to rid the world of evil quickly morphs into an obsession with control and dominance. Light starts justifying his actions in the name of justice. Criminals are no longer just targets. They're stepping stones toward a utopia, and he's the only one fit to build it. But therein lies the paradox. In his pursuit of justice, Light loses his humanity. Imagine if Light worked in IT. You'd ask him to fix a minor bug, and he'd end up rewriting the entire operating system in his image. 3. The emergence of Kira, Light's metamorphosis. It doesn't take long for Light's actions to attract global attention, and the persona of Kira is born. This transition from Light to Kira is more than just a change of name. It's the complete acceptance of his new identity. Light is no longer just a student or a son. He's a self-proclaimed god of a new world order. But why does Light embrace Kira so fully? To answer that, let's look at Light's sense of purpose. As a top student, Light was constantly told that he was special. But the Death Note offers something much greater: validation of his beliefs and ambitions on a cosmic scale. In Light's eyes, his intelligence and the Death Note are proof that he's destined for greatness. If you had the power to rid the world of evil, would you do it? Light's answer was clear, but would yours be? The game of cat and mouse, Light versus L. The real turning point in Light's journey comes when he meets his intellectual equal, L. The rivalry between Light and L isn't just a game of wits, it's a clash of ideologies. L embodies the pursuit of truth and justice, while Light is driven by his vision of an ideal world, where he alone decides who lives and who dies. At first, Light is intrigued by L, admiring him as a worthy opponent. But as their battle escalates, Light's admiration turns to obsession. He's no longer just trying to outsmart L, he wants to erase him from existence, like any other obstacle in his way. The genius of their rivalry lies in the psychological tension. Every conversation, every glance, every move is a subtle battle. L doesn't just try to catch Light, he tries to understand him, to get inside his head. And Light, in turn, tries to maintain his facade while staying several steps ahead of L. Imagine if these two had to collaborate on a project. L would triple-check the data, while Light would accidentally erase anything that didn't go according to his plan. Trust issues, anyone? 5. The human side of Light: love, manipulation, and deception. One of the most fascinating aspects of Light's character is his ability to manipulate others, even those closest to him. From his family to Miss Amane, Light's relationships are carefully controlled. He shows glimpses of affection, but it's always a calculated move. Light uses love and loyalty as weapons, bending others to his will. His relationship with Misa is particularly telling. Misa worships Kira, willing to do anything for him, and Light takes full advantage of this devotion. But does he ever genuinely care for her? The evidence suggests otherwise. Light's love for Misa, if it can even be called that, is purely transactional. She's a tool to be used in his quest for domination, nothing more. Can you imagine being in a relationship with Light? You'd text him asking, "Where do you want to eat?" And he'd respond with a 30-step plan for world domination. Romantic. 6. The downfall: Light's descent into madness. Light's greatest strength, his intelligence, becomes his greatest weakness as his god complex grows. He starts making mistakes, taking bigger risks, and letting his arrogance cloud his judgment. The once meticulous and calculated Light begins to unravel, becoming more desperate and reckless in his attempts to maintain his power. This is where the brilliance of Light's character arc comes full circle. His journey, which began with a righteous desire to make the world a better place, ends in a chaotic spiral of lies, deceit, and murder. By the time Nier exposes him, Light's facade is shattered, revealing the monster he's become. But Light's downfall isn't just about his mistakes. It's about the consequences of losing sight of one's humanity. In his pursuit of a perfect world, Light sacrifices everything that makes him human: love, empathy, morality, and in the end, he's left with nothing but an empty dream and a broken soul. But is Light's story really a cautionary tale, or is it a reflection of the darkness within all of us? If any of us had the power of the Death Note, would we really be any different? 7. The legacy of Light Yagami, a final reflection. Light's death is the final tragic note in his story. He dies not as a god, but as a desperate man clinging to his illusions of grandeur. His legacy, however, lives on, not as a symbol of justice, but as a cautionary tale of what happens when one man decides he alone has the right to play God. But let's take a step back. Despite his monstrous actions, Light remains a compelling character because he represents a universal truth: the temptation of power and the consequences of unchecked ambition. His fall from grace is a reminder that even the best intentions can lead to the darkest paths. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mind of Light Yagami, then you're definitely going to want to check out my analysis on his ultimate rival, L Law Light. L's story is just as fascinating, filled with mystery, genius, and tragedy. Click here to watch the L analysis video and discover what makes him one of the most enigmatic characters in Death Note.